I'm just looking at you and looking at me on camera going, which one of us slept last night? Why do you need to look like you slept? I want people to know I didn't sleep. So that way, if I say something stupid, or if I'm cranky, or if I'm gonna go take a nap, like, want people to know that I feel like crap.
This is a very valid point that I had not considered. It's the human equivalent of the student driver, please be patient sticker.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, look, I am very tired.
I am very tired. I am taking a nap immediately after this recording.
Well, maybe I should
But
stop screwing with my eyelashes and we should record a podcast.
well, I don't want you to feel like you have an eyelash in your eye the whole time we record. I mean, we're already talking about uncomfortable eyes. I think that's going to make you crazy. But I mean, you'd be able to compare the experiences very well. So, Ellie, what feels worse, eye contact or this?
Right now, nothing feels worse than this.
Yeah,
Nothing worse could ever happen to anyone ever.
that's about how I feel making eye contact. So, perfect.
Well, good. Let's make a podcast about it.
Let's make a podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Gifted Kid, Messy Adult, the show where potential went to die. I'm one of your hosts, Ellie Michaels. I use she, her.
I'm your other host, Jessica Michaels. I use she, they.
How we feeling today, Jess?
Oh, definite they. I could not possibly care or feel any less of anything right now. So they. I'm very
Yeah, I didn't sleep great last night, which is fine because today we're talking about a very uncomfortable topic. We're discussing eye contact and why it's the worst ever.
Yes, and unfortunately is something that the world has just decided means whether or not you're a professional is eye contact. Well, maybe not the world. I know there are places where eye contact is not something that is considered good or polite, but I'll tell you, the United States, not one of those places for sure.
So we hate eye contact.
I mean, us as neurodivergents or the country?
Oh, I meant like the country. I was being facetious on purpose.
Yeah, and we don't really know when or why eye contact became one of the differentiating factors between neurodivergence and non-neurodivergence, or autistics and allistic. Eye contact has, when you look at any book or any advice on how to be professional, how to communicate well, how to present yourself well, how to interview well, eye contact is right up at the top. And that is really unfortunate for a lot of us who really, just given the choice, would look at our shoes a good portion of the time.
Yeah, because my shoes are gorgeous. Like, what? I don't get it. Why is it important? I'm talking to you. I'm very clearly engaged with this conversation. I might have to look off to the side because I'm trying to remember something. And looking at you takes up a lot of processing power. Not you specifically. That, takes up a lot of heart power. It makes me go, oh, it's my wife. But just looking at a person in the face or in the eyes while I'm talking is distracting.
Mm-hmm. It is very distracting for me also.
I think for allistics, it's up there with like the handshake fallacy of like, oh, if you can look someone in the eye and shake their hand confidently, you know that they're honest in dealing evenly with you. And like, no, I'm not. Like, being being able to look somebody in the eye and lie to them is like the first skill any liar learns. So,
It is a trustworthiness thing. That's how people judge, they talk about, you look you right in the eye and the good handshake, and that's how business deals were made and how you would it's like the magic that's supposed to be able to tell you if somebody's good to deal with or not, or if somebody's going to be a good business partner or not, or a good employee or not. Even if the majority of your work is going to be staring at a computer screen, still being able to look someone in the eye and have sustained eye contact is something that can literally keep you from a livelihood, can keep you out of a career, because that is something that is just ingrained in our society. And that's one of the chief things that keeps many neurodivergents at or underemployed, is because these intangible things that are expected of people at job interviews, they just can't do or don't do, or don't try to endure the pain long enough to get through that job interview. And people read that as meaning so much more than it does. I mean, they assign meaning to it for just about anything other than, oh, it actually hurts me physically when I try to look somebody in the eyes.
mhm. Yeah. And I tried to research this and like figure out why, at least briefly for this podcast. And I got multiple different answers of multiple different studies saying different things. But supposedly the pain is from like an overactivation in the part of our brains that processes that kind of stuff. So like it's overwhelming, it's unpleasant, and it's downright painful for some folks.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, I definitely find it physically uncomfortable to make eye contact. And I really, if I'm making eye contact, I have to concentrate on doing that. And I'm not concentrating on anything else, because I have to keep my head from turning away, because that's what it wants to do, because it's not comfortable, and my eyes from looking away, because that's not what they want to do. And it is a very physical sensation of discomfort. What do you feel when you make eye contact? Do you feel the same, or what's it like?
it mm, it's definitely distracting, and it can be distressing. I don't think it actually hurts, but I don't like it. And if I'm trying to think of something or remember something specific or like report on something, I tend to look off into the side like I'm doing right now, because I find it very difficult to stare at your face and remember things and like introspect and whatnot at the same time.
Mhm. See, what's interesting is when I'm on a Zoom call, like we're on now, I can talk to your face and look at your eyes. And not just your eyes, which are beautiful, and I'm so happy I married them and get to look at them whatever I want. But when other people are on calls with me, it is much easier for me to look at a face and then, and look, towards the eyes. But I'm still not like staring into the virtual eyes that are on the screen, but it's easier for me to talk to the person's face online than it is to talk to my camera, even though in theory, those are the eyes of, that I should be talking to, would be the camera. Um, it's
That's weird. Who
much,
does that? Nobody talks to the camera. You
that's
talk
what
to the
they,
face.
that's what they teach us to do when we are speaking and presenting, is talking to the camera. And I am not good at it. I am not good. If there's a face, I'm going to be looking at it for sure.
That's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going
Yeah.
to read the disposition of the person I'm talking to and tell if they're upset or amused if I'm looking at the camera?
See, I can't even. even if I look at somebody's face, I mean, I can tell if they're smiling or if they're crying, but between those two things, I mean, that's really all I get is those two. If something's in the middle, I'm not going to pick up on it. But um, yeah, I think so. It's one of the reasons why I much prefer to work from home and work virtually is because I feel like I get away with making less eye contact online, but it's in this situation where that's okay. Whereas if I'm sitting in an office across from a table from somebody, it's expected that I'm looking at them and making eye contact. And that is really, really uncomfortable. So I'm much more comfortable on virtual calls than I am in real life meetings.
Mm-hmm. I think part of where we diverge is that you are famously face blind and have a hard time reading expressions on people, where I have a hard time not noticing people's micro expressions
Mm.
and weighing what they're saying with how they're saying it, with how they're standing, with what their eyes are doing. Because a lot of the time, people don't regulate what their eyes do as far as emotional communication. And so I can pretty easily tell when someone is trying to not say something or when they feel differently than what they're saying by looking at their facial expressions. But that's also exhausting.
Yeah, I can't get any of that at all. I can't tell the difference in people's tone or word patterns or facial expressions, anything. I can only go based on somebody's words and what they say. So if there's anything behind the words, I'm not going to get it. I'm lost. I really can only handle that straightforward communication. And there are times when you feel like you should be making eye contact with somebody. Like if an employee of mine is talking to me and they're talking about something emotional and they're looking at me, it's like, oh, I really need to be looking in their eyes right now. But when I'm doing that, I can't also listen to the words. And that's like the anchor that I have, so I
Mm-hmm.
tend to look at the table if I'm, at across from somebody. I tend to look at the table. If I'm standing, I look at my shoes, or around the room, because then I can listen. If I'm making eye contact, the only thing I feel, it's like I feel like a magnet is pulling my head away from looking, into the person's eyes. And so I constantly have to fight that pull away, that physical force that's it's plugging, and I miss out on the conversation. I just, in a professional setting, there's nothing I would rather do less than have a conversation and make eye contact. But I know it's required. I know it's important. And so I know that there are certain periods of time in a conversation when I'm going to have to sacrifice listening for making eye contact, because I know that's really important. I try to do it like if I'm shaking hands and making eye contact, like get over those two things at the same time. And then I try to do it. I try to do the eye contact thing when I'm not saying anything very important or when they're not saying anything very important. So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sacrificing too much of the conversation, but that certainly has backfired on me in the past. But it's a comfort thing. I know neurotypicals, I think that's one of the reasons why neurotypicals can be uncomfortable around neurodivergent people, or why neurodivergent people can be seen as weird, is because of the lack of eye contact and how much other people have a propensity for eye contact. So I try to do it, but I do not like it.
Or my favorite, you got so much pushback from being bad at eye contact that now you're compulsively aggressive at eye contact. I remember having a phase like that at some point in my life where it's just like, all right, you want me to make eye contact? I'm gonna stare you right in the eye this entire time we're talking.
And be
It turns out
totally
people don't like that
creepy.
either.
No, no, there's a magic ratio, and it's different for everybody. And that is really annoying too. Yeah, because it's like there's a certain period of time people want you to make eye contact, and then there's like for each incidence of eye contact, it should last a certain period of time before it's between shifty and creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sunglasses are wonderful things.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful things. Um, are there situations where you find it easier to make eye contact, like a friend versus a person you're dating versus a professional contact? Is there any difference in any of those situations?
Yeah, if it's somebody that I'm really intimate with, it's a lot easier because I don't think I'm as much on guard and I'm not like watching for potential hazards or something. I'm like, okay, this person already likes me. Uh, I don't need to watch for them to snap at any moment. But professional stuff, I need to look away. I can't think of the things and formulate plans and come up with ideas and whatever when I'm talking to somebody businessy. I have to look away and then I'll look back when I'm done thinking, basically. Um, and I like to think that that pattern is obvious enough that people are just like, oh, she just kind of looks away when she's trying to remember something. But like, I'll look back at the person, like, okay, so we want to do this kind of video and this kind of video, and I'm looking off to the side, right? Because I'm imagining stuff in my head and trying to keep track of a handful of things. And then once I finish saying the things, I'll look back at the person and be like, that's what we're going for, right? Or was that what you wanted, or blah, blah, blah. So it's not like I'm avoiding looking at you for the sake of avoiding looking at you. I kind of seem to have a reason for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
At least that's what I like to hope.
I don't like eye contact in any situation. There's definitely times it feels worse. Like making eye contact with you isn't painful, but I would much rather sit side by side and talk than be looking at each other and looking into each other's eyes. Or any of those like, romantic coupley things, like you see in movies where they just gaze into each other's eyes, like, ah, ah,
No,
that seems awful.
no, you don't have to look at me when we're talking. It's nice if your mouth is pointed at me because then it's easier for me to hear. But other than that, I don't really care. Like I know you like me. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure you married me. Uh, I think I was there. Oh, that's right.
Yes,
We screwed up the paperwork. It was hilarious.
I screwed up the paperwork. I signed in the wrong place and they wouldn't give us another form. I just had to cross it out and sign again. And now it's like that forever. So,
Oh, Denver. Why would you need a new form? This isn't important. Just here, just use,
right.
just cross it out. It's fine. It's fine.
This is not something that you're going to have your entire life. So,
Don't make me walk the extra 5 steps to get another copy of this. Just hurry up.
cross it out. It'll be fine. But yeah, so I don't, there just isn't a situation where I want to be gazing into somebody's eyes. Like with you, though, it isn't painful. It's uncomfortable, but not like physically uncomfortable. It just feels weird.
Mm,
It just feels weird. And if I can feel weird or not feel weird, I'd rather not feel weird because if I am feeling weird, I'm still going to focus on that more than what we're talking about. And the thing that we're talking about is more important. So I'd rather look, you know, at you, just not at your eyes, or, look around or be next to you and still be able to concentrate on what you are saying. Um, yeah, so there isn't really a situation for me where I feel good about eye contact or even neutral. The dog, maybe.
Hmm?
Because I know it's
Our
supposed to be a
dog
big
doesn't
deal.
even.
No, dogs don't like eye contact. Um, but it's supposed to be a sign that they love you if they will like get make eye contact with you and have sustained eye contact with you. But I feel like the dog and I are both equally uncomfortable. Plus, how do you look in both of their eyes at the same time? They're so far apart. Like I don't know how people do that,
No,
which is
he
usually
has
what
a
I'm
dog
thinking.
HD. He has a dog HD. He's neurodogvergent. He doesn't like eye contact. Like he will intentionally come stand or sit pointing at me and then look to the side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, what do you oh, you want to go out? Okay, okay, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the look to the side is very important to the dog. But he will also like do that while he's sitting on your feet or while he's leaning on you or whatever. So, he has other ways that he shows affection, and there are other ways that I would rather show interest, or affection or professionalism, any of the things that eye contact is supposed to communicate. I feel or I do, they just don't look the same as, people would expect. And that's really frustrating because I feel like my method of communication should be the same, in terms of value than other people's, but it just isn't.
Man, if that isn't just a summation of the entire neuroqueer experience, like I have all of the same emotions, I have all of the same perceptions and experiences. They just don't look like yours. That doesn't make them lesser or weird or bad. It just makes them different. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a method when you do make eye contact or when you know you need to make eye contact? Do you have a method or something that you use or that you do?
No, it mostly just goes by feel. Um, if someone's really trying to communicate something that seems really important, I will try to meet their gaze. I'll try to meet people where they are, but I can only do that for so long, and so I only do it for so long.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think I think it kind of falls under the same umbrella as like one of the ways that I show I'm paying attention to what you're saying is making bad wordplay jokes using what you're talking about, which I feel is a great way to show that, like, yes, I am paying attention entirely. I am locked in and uh, bought in or whatever. I am paying attention. I am valuing your words. Um, I just might not be looking at you when I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have the advice for eye contact. I've never found anything that has made it less uncomfortable, where they say, look, don't look in people's eyes, look like at a spot in between, their
Mm-hmm.
eyes. But it's like, but I still know that they're there. Like, that doesn't help me. It doesn't block the eyes from my view. So that is never something, but I guess it does work for some people. I know that there's a counting technique, which is usually if I do something, that's what I tend to do, which is I make eye contact and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I didn't look away. So that's what I'm doing when I'm talking, and or I try to find moments where neither one of us is talking. And so if I do a big smile, then I can look at somebody in the eye because I'm smiling. I can look in there and then I don't need to worry about what I'm hearing because I'm not missing anything. Because smiling is something that I have to also do on purpose as well. So again, why not get the uncomfortable things out of the way at the same time? So do a big smile and do some eye contact. And then for the important parts, the talky parts, I can, look where I need to look to give my eyes a rest and my brain a rest and to actually listen.
Yeah, it just all comes back to that same thing of like, for industrialized purposes, you standardize some practices and some measures and go, oh, this is what it means to look like a professional, or this is what it means to succeed, because you're trying to judge 100 people at the same time in, like, third grade or fourth shift at the ball bearing factory for World War II. But that's not an effective way to actually measure what people are really doing and how they're doing it.
No, I always say 200 years ago, a bunch of old white men got together in a room and said, here's what a professional person looks like, sounds like, and acts like. And
And it just happens to
anything,
be what we look like, sound like, and act like.
yes, exactly. So anything that falls outside of that box is unprofessional. And so it's not even that it's neutral, it's a negative. That's the other thing that gets me. It's like not even that people can just have it like, oh, you don't get credit for the eye contact, so your score is a 0. It's like your score is a -4 if you're not able to make eye contact. And I hate that. So when I work with employers, that's one of, the things that I really make sure that I talk about is, if you would you have an employee come in, or if you're interviewing somebody, would you have them sit on thumbtacks and see if they could sit on thumbtacks and have the conversation with you? Say, no, that is silly. You don't want to put some people in pain on purpose. And it doesn't tell you anything about whether they can do the job. It's like, aha. Because for a lot of us, it's the exact same thing. And to me, it gives you the exact same amount of information, unless making eye contact is a part of the job, like that you need to be able to do in order to complete the job successfully. So like, unless you're an optometrist, I think it really shouldn't matter if you can make eye contact. And I know, if you're out there and you're a hiring manager or you're an employer, if you are using eye contact as a way to judge the quality of somebody's interview, you are missing out on some good folks, because to them, it would be just like sitting on thumbtacks. But if they're not sitting on thumbtacks, they can be a darn good programmer, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. I'm great at what I do, and it doesn't have anything to do with whether or not I can make eye contact in, a one-on-one meeting. There's other tools that I can use. And when I'm, when I'm public speaking, or when I'm teaching, in a large group, I'm actually okay with eye contact when I'm up in front of a room. It's just that these one-on-one conversations, and that's the same with there are certainly other people who feel the same way. It's just it's just when it's so personal, when it's so intimate, it just overwhelms my body, it just freaks me out. And I just can't do it. Um, but it shouldn't matter.
It really shouldn't. And it's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Well, on that weary sigh, I think that'll about wrap it up for this episode of Gifted Kid, Messy Adult. If you like our show and would like to support us, please rate, subscribe, and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe and rate us on YouTube at Gifted Kid Messy Adult. If you'd like to support us financially, you can find us on Patreon at the Neurodiverse Workplace, where subscribers get access to all kinds of bonus content, curated memes, behind the scenes shenanigans, voting on future topics, and you can not only help us keep the lights on, but help us provide services for free to our fellow neurospices. And if you'd like to suggest a future topic or just say nice things and give us that sweet external validation, please email us your thoughts, questions, or praise to giftedkidmessyadult@gmail.com. Jess, where can people find you?
People can find me at coachjessicamichaels.com, where you can sign up for a free coaching session with me. I also have classes and other resources that are available. And you can support us as well on GoFundMe if you would like to help us in our crusade against the American medical system and illness. Please, you can go to GoFundMe and just search Ellie or Jess Michaels, and ours will come right up.
Yeah, and by crusade against the health system, we mean trying to stay alive. If you'd
Yeah.
like to, if anyone wants to find me, you can find me at ellimichaelsproductions.com for some customized commercial video solutions for your small business. And so until next time, take care of each other out there.
Bye.
I need a shower. Like, badly.